resolute of heart, make firm thy mind. The tongue of a man is the rudder of the boat, but the Lord of all is its pilot. Cast not thy heart after riches, there's no ignoring fate and destiny. Place not thy thoughts on things outside, every man is destined for his hour.
On feeling goods where all of your cash went, not chakra alignment or inward refinement. Trying to find one word to describe men. Better yet, can one consciousness unify them? Pondering on these questions is where my time spent. Creative process, believe me, greatness got to achieve it. Ideas we believe in, positive mind, gotta reach in it. Putting effort to bring forth this new being. You're not consumed by the lust for things, but knows that his work is determined by words and deeds. Your mind is affected by words and deeds. Your thoughts are keys to what you're trying to see, and what you're trying to see should be to reach your goals. Hold on to your dreams, keys open doors. Since you can't always choose circumstances, make sure to choose your thoughts wisely. Choose advancement, work towards the future. Now's your chance, kid. Accept responsibility, avoid resentment. Actions always take root from what you think about. Things ain't going your way, it ain't hard to figure out. Why? Why? Ask why. Ain't gotta tell you, it's right in front of your eyes. So in following these principles, you'll find along the road you're the only one responsible for your soul. It's no coincidence. Take control of your life, no coincidence. It's no coincidence. You take control, no coincidence. It's no coincidence. Yeah, it's no coincidence. It's no coincidence. Nah, it's no coincidence.
Old shells are highly prized. And this one is occupied by a sarcastic fringe.
What's up, New Haven? You're listening to Breaking News. Absolutely breaking the mainstream media, breaking it in half, with Harry, aka The Brave, on WNHH LP 103.5 FM, your home for community radio. What's up, everybody? Monday, we have a lot of news to talk about the Russian collusion lie, fantasy that the Democrats came up with to kind of soothe their evil souls, right? Because now all that is coming out is that there was actually a plot to take down Donald Trump. And more is coming out. You know, it's funny, and we'll get to it later, but it's funny. This morning, I was actually watching somebody, I think on CNN, explaining how having somebody spy on Trump was actually a good thing. It was actually protecting Trump. These are the same people who lied and hid and denied that the Obama administration was actually spying on Trump. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's jump right into it. Feel like sneezing now. Let's read from New York Magazine, from the New Yorker magazine. Or is it New York Magazine? Anyway, Andrew Sullivan. Obama's legacy has already been destroyed. I've been saying this for what? Now this is a liberal writer here. Before you think this from New York Magazine, but I've been saying it, and everybody's been in denial of it because Obama's legacy was based not so much on legislative wins, he only really had one legislative win. It was Obamacare, right? He had both houses. The Democrats had the presidency with Obama, and they were able to push through Obamacare, and it squeaked through. Still, right? But it got through, and because that went through the legislative process, you could actually say Obama got a win there, even though it was a horrible plan, the Obamacare plan, but whatever. But let's read some of this article, and I almost feel bad for the guy who was writing it, right? So, title of the article: Obama's legacy has already been destroyed. He writes, in one respect, it seems to me the presidency, oh my God, I feel like sneezing. Sorry about that. Excuse me. The presidency of Donald Trump has been remarkably successful in 17 months. He has effectively erased Barack Obama's two-term legacy, if you could call it a legacy. You can't really call something a legacy that could be overturned that easily because of the lack of legislative wins, right? So, and what that means for people out there who don't, and a lot of people don't understand anything, almost hardly anything of politics. They just go with the wins of their party, right? So the party says, bad Trump. They go with bad Trump. And on the other side, the Republicans go, good Trump. And they go, good Trump. People don't take the time to understand, but you need legislative wins to actually affect where the country is going, right? I mean, Obama was able to affect it in a temporary way, right? But since he was doing everything on executive order and on regulations, he would have his EPA do regulations. He would have, the Justice Department change regulations or whatever. But those things are easily overturned with the next administration, right? And then his executive orders, you executive order it away by the next president, even though the courts have been activist courts or activist judges running these courts that have slowed down the taking away of executive orders. But eventually those things are going to go away, right? Even though they're actually, these judges actually fighting the Constitution themselves. But anyway, so he has effectively erased Barack's two-term legacy. I don't want to say or face this, and that's the truth about Democrats. They don't want to hear themselves say that Trump is winning, right? They don't want to face that Trump is winning, right? And I'm glad this guy's it's Andrew Sullivan, pretty honest here, at least for a portion of this thing, right? But you could go read it yourself. He says, I don't want to say or face this. I still want to believe my colleague, Jonathan Chait, whose thesis is that the changes Obama made in his difficult but tenacious 8 years in office, tenacious. Come on, who was he fighting, right? The Republicans, yeah, they were slightly obstructionist, right? Because they still gave him a lot of what he wanted. They never defunded Obamacare, and all of that. So they weren't obstructionists like the Democrats are being now, that they don't let stuff come to a vote, right? You still have Trump not being able to fulfill or fill certain positions in government because the Democrats are blocking everything. If the Republicans had did that to Obama, I would understand the obstructionist label. I'm going to give him a slightly obstructionist, right? So Obama made in his difficult but tenacious 8 years in office are too great to reverse. Jonathan Chait, he wrote, his thesis was that Obama's changes were difficult to reverse, right? And this guy wants to believe that, right? And there are a couple of shifts that do indeed seem to be as permanent as anything in politics. Marriage and equality. See, these are things that Obama did do with his influence on society that didn't really need a law. They actually made, well, it kind of, he changed the way people looked at certain things, right? Even though Obama did start, let me finish reading this article. Began as an alleged, okay, wait. In politics, marriage equality, and legal cannabis, but neither one recalls was a signature goal of Obama. He began as an alleged opponent to marriage equality, even though, of course, he was BSing. He wouldn't touch the marijuana issue in his entire first term, and even at one point dismissed it as being trivial. As for the rest, in specific policy terms, Trump and the Republican Congress have succeeded in undoing Obama's work to an extent I barely anticipated. Right? So what he's saying is Obama's library going up in Chicago is probably going to be a 1-bedroom apartment, right? Because his legacy is being torn down, and easily. Trump is doing it in 17 months. That's pretty impressive. And I apologize for those people that I look too giddy about it, but I really didn't agree with much of what Obama did, right? Because he did a lot of it solo. And even the Obamacare, they did it in a sly way, right? Because once Kennedy died, that seat went into a special election and a Republican won, you had them actually put somebody there temporarily to vote, even though they had lost the seat. So even that was kind of conniving, right? But everything else, I was against most of it. And actually the two things he mentioned, the marriage equality and the cannabis, those are actually the two things I agreed with Obama that he changed, right? Because that's more my libertarian side talking there. But yeah, so this is a good article. You guys should go read it. Obama's legacy has already been destroyed. That's kind of true. All right. You're listening to Breaking News with Harry, a.k.a. The Brave, on WNHH LP 103.5 FM.
We want an immediate end to the police brutality and mob attacks that our people are confronted by every single day, every single week, every single month.
This used to be the land of opportunity. People used to strive for peace. We don't even use the word unity until them guns release. Young kids dropping out of school, thinking they know it all, don't even know the rules. Grown men want to kill themselves for a cause. Innocent people losing their lives in the cause. History repeating itself, what are we doing? The revolution will be televised, still brewing. CNN cameras, satellite coverage. We heading for destruction, don't forget your luggage. Marvin Gaye's vision, what's going on? Back in 71, it's being reborn. We need to wake up, people getting shot dead. Homie lost his life for doing what the police said.
I just wanna know if we gonna last. The glass is half full, the bottle's coming fast. I just wanna know where's all the justice? Blaming on the system, no, we can't trust it. I just wanna know if we gonna last. The glass is half full, the bottle's coming fast. I just wanna know where's all the justice? Blaming on the system, no, we can't trust it. I just wanna know. Too much stress, but Lord knows we trying different drama every day. Too many young people dying, having conversations like, what happened?
Why them judges bringing books to the court? Strictly the Flinger brother, stripping the child of his child support. He wanna know why his daddy left, but he don't know he mad he left. Not there in school and he's using aggressive force. I wanna know how you shoot a man unarmed and view the camera.
All right, you're listening to Breaking News with Harry A.K. The Brave on WNHH LP 103.5 FM. All right, let's jump to another article here. The headline to this is, in politicized Justice Department, in politicized justice, desperate times call for disparate measures, right? So, FBI Director Comey and the Obama Justice Department applied a double standard in their handling of the Clinton email. Oh, this is the National Review. I don't know if I said that right. Right? Applied a double standard in their handling of the Clinton email and the Trump-Russia investigations. We was robbed. That's the theme Democrats and their media allies are working hard to cement into conventional wisdom, and robbed in a very specific way. The 2016 presidential elections, we're to believe, was stolen from Hillary Clinton by disparate treatment. As Democrats tell it, the FBI scandalized their candidate while protecting Donald Trump. All right. I'm going to skip this stuff, right? Because what the first part of the article is saying, that the Democrats, because they've been crying. Comey came out and in July and said Hillary wasn't guilty, but in the process, he tainted her with all the things she did, right? So he said she's guilty, but she's clueless. She didn't know what the law was, and not a very smart lady. And so he kind of made it look either stupid or very calculated and getting a pass, one or the other, right? So, and the Democrats have been selling this forever, right? But in the meantime, they like to think that Donald Trump got a pass, even though, we know that they had a spy in Donald Trump's campaign, right? They started an investigation with zero evidence, right? And they've continued this investigation. They even got a special prosecutor. And the special prosecutor was based on Trump firing Comey, even though Rosenstein, the guy who wrote a letter telling him to fire Comey, recommended the firing of Comey before Trump fired him. So it makes no sense. So it's a game that they've been playing. But I'm going to go to the middle of this article where they talk about the DNC server, right? So the DNC server, it has now been confirmed that the Trump campaign was subjected to spy tactics under counterintelligence law, FISA surveillance, national security letters, and covert intelligence operatives who work with the CIA and allied intelligence services. It made no difference, apparently, that there was an ongoing election campaign, which the FBI is supposed to avoid affecting. Nor did it matter that the spy targets were American citizens, as to whom there is supposed to be evidence of purposeful, clandestine criminal activity on behalf of a foreign power before counterintelligence powers are invoked. But what was the rationale for using these spying authorities? The Fonds et Origo of the counterintelligence, I don't know what that means, of the counterintelligence investigation was the suspicion, which our intelligence agencies assure us is a fact, that the Democratic National Committee server was hacked by covert Russian operatives. Without the cyber espionage attack, there would be no investigation. That's right, because remember when the DNC server gets attacked, the Democrats started the Russians are coming cry, right? They said that their servers had gotten hacked by the Russians, right? So let's keep reading. The agencies assured us, this is a fact, that the National Committee's server was hacked by covert Russian operatives. Without the cyber espionage attack, there would be no investigation. But how do we know it really happened? The Obama Justice Department never took custody of the server. Remember that. And this is the most important part, right? Because we've still to this day hear that the Russians hacked the DNC server. The Russians hacked Podesta and all of this stuff. But there's never been proof of that statement. Even though they say it's fact, they've never been willing to give us any proof of that, right? And they don't have any proof of it. Because Obama's Justice Department never took custody of the server. No subpoena, no search warrant. The server was thus never subjected to analysis by the FBI's renowned forensics lab. And its evidentiary integrity was never preserved for courtroom presentation to a jury. This is so important. And nobody even cares about that. How come? Well, you see, there was an ongoing election campaign. So the Obama Justice Department figured it would be a terrible imposition to pry into the Democrats' communications. So yes, the entire Russia hacked the election narrative the nation has endured for the nearly 2 years hinges on a say-so by CrowdStrike, a private DNC contractor with significant financial ties to the Clinton campaign. Right? So this is getting into the weeds, but I hope for people to understand this. The whole Russia hacked the election, which what they were talking about was the DNC server, because it's been said plenty of times, Russia never hacked any voting machine, right? When they said Russia hacked the election, they were talking about the DNC server and all of Podesta's emails being leaked and all of the DNC emails being leaked, which ended up emails showing that the DNC was racist, sexist, and all of that, right? So the FBI never actually test the server themselves. The FBI never really actually gets information from the server. The DNC didn't allow them. So the FBI just allowed them to keep their server, even though they had claimed that Russia had gotten into their servers, right? So the DNC hires its own contractor to test the server, right? Which is the CrowdStrike, a big DNC, affiliated company and with ties to the Clinton campaign, right? So CrowdStrike tells the FBI that Russia hacked the servers. The FBI is never able to confirm that themselves because the DNC refused to give over the servers. So as simple as that, the Russia hacked the elections rumor gets started, and that rumor grows legs and starts running, and everybody under the sun who's in the media runs with that story without proof. I mean, which isn't a big thing for the media because they do a lot of things without proof these days, right? But that's what they ran with. In Investigations 101, using foreign intelligence authorities to spy on Americans is extraordinary, while taking custody of essential physical evidence in BASIC, By the way, the government's failure to ensure the evidentiary integrity of the DNC server by taking possession of it and performing its own rigorous testing on it makes it practically impossible to prosecute anyone for colluding in the Russia cyber espionage case, right? Because the claim of hacking is never proven. So, if you have no proof of a crime, then you should have no investigation. You can't go, you can't make an investigation in search of a crime. You have to have a crime and investigate who committed the crime. But the FBI, the CIA, the Department of Justice have all been running an investigation in search of a crime. That is sick. That is so sick that we can't accept it as Americans. Okay, I know you dislike Trump. I know most of the people who listen dislike Trump out there. But it doesn't mean that you get to break the law in order to catch him breaking the law. That's insane. It's time for the people of this nation, and it's moving that way. You see Trump's numbers going up and people actually growing some common sense. This investigation has been tainted since the beginning. I mean, sticking a spy in the campaign, in Trump's campaign, without any proof of anything, without informing Trump, it's worse than Watergate. But everybody is sweeping it under the rug because all of this is under Obama. And they've been protecting Obama since day one. This happened under the Obama administration. So Obama is responsible for spying on the Trump campaign. Obama is responsible if there is any type of Russian colluding or hacking or whatever. He's responsible for not doing anything and for allowing this thing to go get as far as it was. And by the way, the only colluding that has been found by all of these investigations, because all of the people that Mueller has charged are charged with lying, not for anything of colluding, but for lying, right? But the one thing they found that they haven't, as far as we know, started an investigation on, is that Hillary Clinton paid Fusion GPS for a dossier that was sourced by the Russians. The dossier that they used to, as part of this investigation, it was actually sourced by the Russians and never vetted by our intelligence agencies. It's disgusting. It truly is disgusting. You're listening to Breaking News with Harry, a.k.a. The Brave, on WNHH LP 103.5 FM.
No make believe cause this is all facts. That thing go clap, 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 clap. Hurry, go clap, clap. Now put your hands up. What? Put your hands up. What? Put your hands up. What? Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Yeah. I'm faded, rolling another one. No matter the job, I always get it done. Using it as food, and my dinner's begun. We up for the challenge, and that's for anyone. She up on the D, and she do it for fun. In GMC, my team, we number one. Put that clip in that thing, that mean you better run. Hit her, we get her, me, cause she poppin' it like bubble gum. She shake it, make it, didn't wanna. She know I came up from the corner. Moving and over to the stoners. I deliver the order to go and chill by the water. Let's go.
Let's cruise.
Now we cruising in at C3. Yelling never weary ENT. I see a mighty watching me, but plain thirsty and get it. It's hot like a cup of tea. All fall back, cause this is real rap. No make believe shit, cause this is all facts. That thing go, clap, 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 clap. Hurry, oh, clap, clap. Now put your hands up. What? Put your hands up. What? Put your hands up. What? Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Yeah. I tell these niggas to all fall back, cause this is real rap. No make believe shit, this is all facts. That thing go, clap, 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 clap. Go, clap, clap. Now put your hands up. What? Put your hands up. What? Put your hands up.
Yeah.
What? Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Yeah.
Mega Hood the best, talking to everyone. Yes. No matter the job, we always get it done. Yes. Unison is sweet, sorta like Cinnabons. I'm just getting started, now watch me heat it up. Killing them, you fake it's Milli Vanillium. Mega Hood the best in this fucking millennium. My millions to get me Christine a million. No haven rapping, always you get a taste of the city. Jackie Robinson started a Nick affiliate. Never ever pill pop and smoking no Ilium. Clown niggas, we laughing, we call you silly. Think you seeing me really? No competition, we bury em. Hold up, see we cruising down Welly, yeah. 5 deep, she been having this with your little shit. We was younger and wildin' then, no apologies, by any means we get it in, yeah.
You're listening to Breaking News with Harry A.K. The Brave on WNHHLP 103.5 FM. You know, the more you dig into this, it's gonna boomerang. It's been boomeranging on the Democrats. It's insane how, and I was telling some of the Democrats here that it's pretty simple to figure out the Democrats' plan. All you have to do is look at what they're accusing you of doing, and you know what they're doing. Because whenever they're accusing you of something, they're deflecting because they're the ones doing it. I mean, is that simple with the Democrats, right? Let's listen to I'm going to play a clip now. This is Jonathan Turley. He's known as a constitutional historian, right? And a lawyer. He teaches at some college. But this guy has been known as a Democrat for years, right? And let's listen to what he has to say, because it's pretty important.
President Trump demanding answers to those reports about an FBI informant close to his campaign. Here to weigh in on all this, George Washington University law professor Jonathan Turley. Jonathan, good morning to you.
Thank you.
You know what? In what we've learned over the last 72 hours, suddenly some of those things that the president has said over the last year about, I was wiretapped and they were keeping an eye on me, it's starting to make sense, isn't it?
Well, it is. I'm mystified by the response in the media. I mean, I think it is undeniable that the president's early allegations have been validated to a large extent. I think you can acknowledge that without necessarily saying that this was clearly done for the wrong purpose. I also don't understand why there isn't more of a concern here.
Right.
Look, the investigation may find that there was a valid reason to investigate. Clearly, Page was under investigation long before the campaign. But we've always been very critical of other countries where governments put their opponents under investigation. And there's a legitimate reason here for us to be concerned, and I think the president has raised that.
The suggestion that there was a spy who was either inside or really close to the campaign, and you read the story about this Cambridge professor who's been outed by a bunch of papers, suddenly it makes sense. He offers George Papadopoulos $3,000, come write this thing, let's have some meals, let's have some talking. Next thing you know, George Papadopoulos gets in trouble. So you can understand the worry on the president's part. Was there somebody near him? But nonetheless, shouldn't it have been the attorney general who a month ago should have said, hey, wait a minute, you're right, we should do some investigating here?
Well, I do think that there's somewhat of a belated response to this. I wrote a piece in the Hill newspaper saying that, the president was openly mocked for this allegation. People like Clapper said it simply wasn't true. I think that the media has to recognize that this is a serious allegation. I have problems with the name of the professor being outed. If he was an asset for the FBI and CIA, I think that's a legitimate concern on the other side. But I think all Americans, regardless of their party, should want to investigate this, and apparently it will be investigated by the IG, the Inspector General's office at the Justice Department.
Right.
And they're a very good outfit. I have no problems with that. They know justice. They've been very hard-hitting. We've seen their work in the past. It's been independent and neutral. I think that is the correct thing to do.
We had Alan Dershowitz on about an hour ago. He said maybe you have an independent panel that looks into it. And then I just got something from somebody else who used to be at the Department of Justice, and they said this should be in front of a grand jury. If this is true, this is criminal.
Well, I think it's premature to put it before a grand jury.
All right. So, and he's right when he says, now, if you remember when Trump came into office, that he started getting information that he had been spied on, right? And everything. And everybody made fun of him. That he was clueless. The Obama administration would never do that. How dare he say that about the Obama administration? And as I was telling my Democrat friends, everything that Trump has said about what the Obama administration did, what the FBI did, has turned out to be true. He wasn't delusional. It was James Clapper, the CIA director Brennan, all of those guys who were lying. They continuously lied. Brennan is still lying. Brennan in the beginning said he had no clue about the investigation. Clapper said, he had no clue about it. No subpoenas, no nothing ever crossed his desk. And it turns out all of this was done, and they all knew about it. They lied about it. They stuck spies under there. They got FBI agents who were politically motivated, like Peter Strzok, to go and investigate Trump. Now I know there's a lot of you who say, well, good, he deserves to be investigated, or good because you don't like Trump. But just think about this. Trump's in power now. So should he go after his political enemies? Because I don't like somebody? Should I want them investigated even though they've done nothing? Or nothing I could prove? Should I break the law to prove that somebody's done something wrong? Because everybody's done something wrong in their life. Should we go after everything? And then after we search for what we think they've done and we find nothing, should now we continue searching till we find something? That's what's been going on. That's been going on this whole time. And the media has been complicit. And the media hates when they're called fake news. But they are nothing but fake news. Even worse, they're a political arm of the Democrat Party. They should be ashamed of themselves. You're listening to Breaking News with Harry A.K. The Brave on WNHH LP 103.5 FM. Your home for community radio.
Yo, it's the G-O-D, B-O-D-Y. Yeah. Illegal business controls America. Business controls America.
I never ever ran from the Ku Klux Klan, and I shouldn't have to run from a black man.
Industry rule number 4080. Record companies are shady. Yeah, I know y'all been waiting now. Y'all been patient, let's go. I be the MC version of Huey P, the all-seeing through my 2020 brown Bruce Lee's, Malcolm X / Muhammad Ali, karate chop the rider's block with the Hasi Selassie karate. Your photo shoots with the same old stare. You're sitting there in the wicker chair, holding the heat. You're in the spare with my coalition comrades in the rear. Pat downs, peasy, we here with their fists in the what I say. These just wanna blast me away, but I'll be back with no delay, like Jesus Christ on Easter Sunday. In the rings, they wanna murder God body, sacrifice the life for the Christ on Good Friday. Resurrect and return the wreck. Snap a nigga neck for some live effects. Approach the podium, give a mic check, adjust the specs, bless the chest with a bulletproof vest before I catch wreck. Spitting and spazzing yo in the side of assassins and rapping before biggest bullets be blasting yo at my black ass and hit a free the hood from the mental enslavement. This ain't gangster rap, this is a form of entertainment. Controversial, can see no sense coming through the speaker like the brick through the living room window of a civil rights leader. Prolific, gifted, leaving spirits lifted like Dr. King's last words before we got his cap twisted. I'm told I'm a nigga with an attitude, cause I choose to spell America like Ice Cube, yo, white America. I got some real bad news, me and my crew's about to open up some all black schools. I ain't Jacob, but wake up baby, I drop jewels on young types to keep their business tight like kites core jewels. Apologize, I highly refuse when it's cool. Yo, when I choose to use the word again, referring to my black brothers and sisters, when you really want me to mistreat my Miss Silly like Mr. like Rama. I just want y'all to follow the leader when Whitey want me to beat her like Sally told Hoppo to do to Sophia. Leave the color purple bruises on the complexion, need to give her everlasting love and affection with every inch of my enome insurrection in a midsection. In producing positive pregnancy tests, I bring the drama like some of Osama. Suicide bombers pose like a comma as I preach and teach truth like Dalai Lama. Overcome like Obama, offer from a prima donna. Looking for a shorty from the hood with the heart of Osada. Influential like a nephew in his martyr. Big Papa hook up the mic to hear the scholar drop a paragraph of power on a mission. So just shut up and listen to what I'm spitting. The price of admission to it.
Alright, you're listening to Breaking News with Harry, aka The Brave. Alright. You know, it's interesting, and I always tell stories about the Democrats who I have to deal with every day. And right now they're running scared, right? And he's, you know, one of my Democrat commie friends, he's wondering, do you think Trump would go as far as try to investigate so that it gets to Obama? And I'm like, what are you worried about? He's like, that wouldn't be right to bring down Obama. And I'm like, really, what do you have to worry about? Aren't you guys confident that everything was done right? And it's funny because, and you could go look this up because I remember it was written, I forgot where it was written, but Susan Rice, on her last day, before she leaves her office, she sends an email saying Obama always wanted everything to be done by the book. That's it. She sent that email to herself just so that it would be a part of the record. It was a CYI email. Cover your own ass email. And people, everybody needs to go back. Go look that up. Why, on the last day, would Susan Rice write a email to herself saying that Obama always wanted everything to be done by the book? Because she was in fear that the truth would be discovered. And she didn't want it to touch Obama. But it's insane, right? I was listening to Joe Ugly this morning, a local radio show that we broadcast here from 6 to 9. And all he was doing was defending there being spies in the campaign. Imagine if George Bush would have put a spy in the Obama campaign, based on conjecture. Based on conjecture. How about he was associated with whoever? I mean, Obama has a lot of scary people in his past who are his friends. Farrakhan, Reverend Wright, the domestic terrorist Bill Ayers. There's a lot of people, right? Imagine if Bush would have said, let's just stick a spy in there, investigate Obama, just for the hell of it. You can't be okay with that. You just can't be okay with that. And now that Trump is president, would it be okay if he sticks a spy in your next candidate's campaign and starts an investigation without any proof of anything? And he can, because there's not going to be one senator or congressman who runs for president who isn't going to have something to hide on in your party. This is important. You can't let it slide just because you hate Trump. You have to be outraged. Anyway, any hoots. Let's read. This is from The Hill. Written by Mark Penn. He ran Hillary's campaign in 2008. Yeah. A Hillary guy, a Clinton guy. Let's read this article. This is interesting. Stopping Robert Mueller to protect us all. Stopping Robert Mueller to protect us all. The deep state is in a deep state of desperation. With little time left before the Justice Department Inspector General's report becomes public, and with Special Counsel Robert Mueller having failed to bring down Donald Trump after a year of trying, they know a reckoning is coming. At this point, there is little doubt that the highest echelons of the FBI and the Justice Department broke their own rules to end the Hillary Clinton matter. That's the Hillary Clinton email investigation that they gave her a pass on. Her exoneration was actually written 3 months before before Comey goes out and says she's an idiot, but she's not guilty, or no attorney general or no prosecutor worth his salt would charge Hillary, which was a lie because there were plenty ready to do it, right? So at this point, there is little doubt that the highest echelons of the FBI and the Justice Department broke their own rules to end the Hillary Clinton matter. But we can expect the Inspector General to document what was done, or more pointedly, not done. It is hard to see how a year-long investigation of this won't come down hard on former FBI Director James Comey and perhaps even former Attorney General Loretta Lynch, who definitely wasn't playing definitely wasn't playing Mahjong in secret. No aides allowed meeting with former President Clinton on a Phoenix airport tarmac. Now that's important, people. We talk about collusion with Russians and everything, but how about Loretta Lynch meeting with Bill Clinton on the eve of James Comey coming out and saying they weren't going to charge Hillary Clinton. This is important. They met secretly for about an hour, and they said they spoke of grandkids. Who believes that? Right? It was an intentional meeting that they had secretly, that they didn't report to anybody, but that a local reporter in Arizona was tipped off. And if it wasn't for that local reporter, we wouldn't know about that meeting today. And they tried to hide it. The FBI has in its own reports emails going back and forth by agents fearing that the meeting would get out. Come on, people. You're better than this. This is right in front of your face. Bill Clinton and Loretta Lynch meet secretly, and then Comey comes out and doesn't charge Hillary for crimes that he said she did. Right? And by the way, this is Mark Penn. Worked for Hillary. Okay. Won't come down hard on former FBI Director James Comey and perhaps even former Attorney General Loretta Lynch, right? For her meeting in Phoenix on the airport tarmac with Bill Clinton. With this report on the way and the congressional investigators beginning to zero in on the lack of hard, verified evidence for starting the Trump probe, current and former Intelligence Justice Department officials are dumping everything they can think of to save their own reputations. But it is backfiring. They started by telling the story of Alexander Downer, an Australian diplomat, as having remembered a bar conversation with George Papadopoulos, a foreign policy advisor to the Trump campaign. Now keep in mind, they had this spy. I gotta get out of here. Go read this. But they had this spy suggesting things to Papadopoulos here, and then he goes and he has a drunken conversation with an Australian diplomat and says he thinks the Russians may be the ones who hacked or had Hillary's emails, and that is what they tried to say started the investigation, which turns out to be a lie anyway. But go read this article. It's a great article. I shouldn't have taken so long to get to it, right? But that guy, that foreign diplomat, turns out his signature appears on a $25 million contribution to the Clinton Foundation, right? So that guy who supposedly turns in that Papadopoulos guy is a huge Clinton donor. $25 million to the Clinton Foundation. And the deeper you dig, you'll see that all of these guys are connected. There's a string attached to all of them. And when you get to the end of that string, it's the Clintons. They pay for the dossier. I gotta get out of here. You've been listening to Breaking News with Harry, a.k.a. The Brave.
And you're listening to
WNHHLP 103.5 FM. WNHHLP 103.5 FM. Your home for community radio.
Be resolute of heart.
Go read that article.
Firm thy mind.
It's in the Hill by Mark Penn.
The tongue of a man
Yeah,
is the rudder
Mark Penn,
of the boat.
former Clinton employee, running her campaign in 08. Check it out.
Thy heart after riches.
If you can't take it
There's
from
no
me,
ignoring fate
take it from
and
somebody
destiny.
on your side.
Place not thy thoughts on
Alright,
things
people.
outside, Every man
See ya.
is destined for his hour.
I'm feeling goods where all of your cash went. Not chakra alignment or inward refinement. Trying to find one word to describe men. Better yet, can one consciousness unify them? Pondering on these questions is where my time spent. Creative process.